You clumsy little brat. You just ruined a $50,000 designer gown!
You clumsy little brat. You just ruined a $50,000 designer gown. The voice belonged to Veronica, a woman who climbed her way into high society with sharp elbows and an even sharper tongue. She stood in the center of the room, looking down at a terrified 3-year-old boy. The little boy, Toby, was trembling on the polished marble floor. Next to him was a spilled glass of bright red cranberry juice. It was slowly soaking into the hem of Veronica's pristine white dress. Toby's tiny hands were covering his bright red cheek. Tears filled his large, innocent eyes. He did not understand why the pretty lady had just struck him so hard. He only knew that his face burned and he was deeply afraid. Moments later, the heavy oak doors of the mansion swung open. Henry Phillip, one of the city's most powerful billionaires, stepped into the foyer. He expected to see his beautiful fiancée preparing for their engagement gala. Instead, he walked into a scene of absolute terror. What Veronica did not realize was that this one slap was about to cost her everything. The billionaire was about to reveal a secret that would change all of their lives forever. Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you the most heartwarming and powerful stories about life, justice, and the unexpected twists of fate. Before we dive into the rest of today's incredible story, please take a quick moment to subscribe to our channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. We love knowing who is listening to us today. Please leave a comment down below and tell us, where in the world are you watching this video from? We read every single comment. Now, let's find out what happened when Henry walked through those doors. To understand how things reached this breaking point, we have to go back exactly 6 months. Henry Phillip was a man who had everything the world could offer. He owned shipping empires, real estate tech firms, and massive tracts of land. His wealth was the kind that lasted for generations. Yet, if you met Henry, you would never guess he was a billionaire. He wore simple suits. He drove his own car. He treated the street sweeper with the same respect he gave to a prime minister. Henry's heart, however, was heavy. 2 years prior, his beloved mother had passed away. She was the anchor of his life. Before she died, she made him promise one thing. "Henry," she had whispered, holding his hand in the hospital bed, "do not let your wealth isolate you. Find a woman who loves the soul of a person, not the balance of a bank account. Find someone with a gentle heart." Henry tried to honor that promise, but in his world, finding genuine love was nearly impossible. Every woman he met seemed more interested in his private jet than his personality. Then he met Veronica. Veronica was a rising fashion designer. She was stunningly beautiful, with perfectly styled blonde hair and an air of confidence that commanded every room. When they first started dating, Veronica played the part of the perfect angel. She volunteered at charity galas. She smiled sweetly at Henry's jokes. She spoke softly about wanting a simple, quiet life filled with love and family. Henry was blinded by her charm. He thought his search was finally over. He thought his mother would be proud. Within 5 months, he proposed to her with a flawless 10-carat diamond ring. Veronica, of course, said yes. She felt like she had finally won the ultimate prize. But as soon as the ring was securely on her finger, Veronica's true colors began to bleed through. The gentle, sweet woman began to disappear. In her place stood a demanding, arrogant socialite who viewed anyone with less money as completely invisible. A month before the wedding, Henry realized they needed extra help to maintain his family's historic estate. The mansion was too large for the existing staff to manage ahead of the massive engagement gala. That was when Anna entered the picture. Anna was a 24-year-old woman with a face that carried the weight of a difficult life. She was a single mother to her 3-year-old son, Toby. Anna's husband had abandoned them the moment he found out she was pregnant. Left with nothing, Anna worked 3 jobs just to afford a tiny basement apartment and milk for her boy. When the estate's head housekeeper hired Anna as a junior maid, Anna literally fell to her knees and cried tears of gratitude. The salary Henry offered his staff was incredibly generous. It was enough to finally get her and Toby out of the damp, dark basement. Because Anna could not always afford childcare, the head housekeeper secretly allowed her to bring little Toby to the estate on quiet afternoons. Toby was a remarkably well-behaved child. He was quiet, curious, and possessed a smile that could melt the coldest of hearts. He would sit in the small staff break room, coloring with his crayons, never making a sound. Henry rarely saw the child because he was always trapped in business meetings in the East Wing. But Veronica saw them, and Veronica did not approve. To Veronica, the staff were not human beings. They were living appliances. She hated seeing Anna's cheap shoes on the expensive rugs. She hated the faint smell of baby formula in the back hallways. This is a billionaire's estate, not a daycare for the impoverished, Veronica would snarl to herself whenever Henry wasn't listening. She made it her personal mission to make Anna's life miserable. She would purposefully spill wine on the floor just to watch Anna clean it up on her knees. She would demand her laundry be redone 3 times, claiming the fabric softener smelled too cheap. Anna bore it all with incredible grace. She never complained. She never shed a tear in public. She needed this job. She needed a future for Toby. She kept her head down, swallowed her pride, and worked until her hands were raw. Then came the day of the engagement gala. The estate was a whirlwind of activity. Florists were setting up thousands of white roses. Caterers were prepping expensive caviar. Musicians were tuning their instruments in the ballroom. Veronica was in a state of high anxiety. This gala was her grand debut into the highest circles of society. She had commissioned a custom-made, pure white silk dress from Paris. It was a masterpiece of haute couture. It fit her perfectly, making her look like royalty. As she walked down the grand hallway, admiring her reflection in the gilded mirrors, little Toby happened to be walking in the opposite direction. The head housekeeper had asked Anna to quickly carry a tray of fresh beverages to the staff dining room. Toby, wanting to be a helpful little boy, was carefully holding a small plastic cup of cranberry juice that a kind chef had given him. He was walking very slowly, watching his feet, trying not to spill a single drop. Veronica was looking at her phone, furiously typing a text message to her makeup artist. She wasn't paying attention to where she was going. They collided at the corner of the hallway. The impact was minor, but it was enough to startle the little boy. The plastic cup slipped from Toby's tiny fingers. The dark, vibrant red cranberry juice splashed through the air. Like a scene from a horror movie, the red liquid landed squarely on the front hem of Veronica's pure white French silk dress. It instantly bloomed into a large, ugly, indelible stain. Veronica froze. She looked down at her dress. Her eyes went wide with pure, unadulterated rage. Her face contorted into something monstrous. "Look what you did!" she screamed, her voice echoing off the high ceilings like a siren. "Look at my dress, you filthy little animal." Toby shrank back, terrified. He began to cry, his little shoulders shaking. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "I'm sorry, lady." But Veronica was blinded by fury. Without a single thought, she raised her manicured hand and brought it down hard across the little boy's cheek. The sound of the slap was deafening. The force of it knocked Toby off his feet. He hit the marble floor, weeping uncontrollably, holding his face. Anna, who had been just a few steps behind in the kitchen, heard her son scream. Her heart stopped. She dropped the tray she was holding and ran into the hallway. What she saw broke her heart into a million pieces. Her baby boy was on the floor, crying hysterically, with a bright red handprint already forming on his delicate skin. Veronica was standing over him, panting with rage, kicking at the spilled juice with her expensive heels. Anna threw herself onto the floor. She gathered Toby into her arms, pressing his head against her chest. "What did you do?" Anna cried out, her motherly instincts overriding her fear of losing her job. "He is just a baby. How could you strike a child? He is a parasite." Veronica shrieked. "Look at my dress. Do you have any idea how much this costs? You couldn't afford a single thread of this gown if you worked here for the rest of your pathetic life. Both of you are finished. You are fired. Get out of this house before I have the police arrest this brat for destroying my property." Anna hugged Toby tighter. She didn't care about the job anymore. She didn't care about the money. All she cared about was protecting her baby from this monster. She began to stand up, her legs shaking, preparing to leave the estate forever. But before she could take a step, The heavy front doors opened. Henry walked in. The silence that fell over the room was instant and heavy. Henry stood in the doorway, his briefcase in hand. His eyes scanned the scene. He saw the spilled red juice. He saw the stain on Veronica's dress. He saw Anna on her knees, tears streaming down her face. And he saw little Toby, weeping into his mother's shoulder, holding his swollen, red cheek. Henry's face went completely blank. It was a look his business competitors feared more than anything. It was the look of a man who was observing a profound injustice. Veronica, completely misreading the situation, instantly changed her expression. She forced tears into her eyes and ran toward Henry, throwing her arms around his neck. "Oh, Henry, thank goodness you're here," she wailed, her voice full of fake distress. It was awful. This careless woman let her brat run wild in the house. He threw juice all over my beautiful wedding dress on purpose. When I told them they needed to be careful, they became aggressive with me. They ruined my day, Henry. You have to protect me. Fire them immediately and throw them out in the street. Henry did not wrap his arms around Veronica. He stayed perfectly still, cold as stone. He gently but firmly pushed Veronica away from him. He walked past her, ignoring her completely. He walked right over to where Anna was kneeling on the floor. Veronica smiled. She thought Henry was going to personally yell at the maid. Instead, the billionaire did something that shocked everyone in the room. He knelt down on the hard marble floor. He didn't care that his expensive suit was touching the wet cranberry juice. Henry looked at Anna, his eyes filled with a deep, profound sorrow. Then, he looked at little Toby. He gently reached out and moved the boy's hand away from his face. When he saw the distinct shape of an adult handprint on the toddler's cheek, a spark of pure fire lit up in Henry's eyes. "Toby," Henry said, his voice incredibly soft and gentle. "Are you okay, buddy?" Toby sniffled, looking at the tall man. He recognized Henry from a picture he had seen. He nodded weakly, burying his face back into his mom's neck. Henry stood up slowly. He turned around to face Veronica. Veronica was still smiling, expecting Henry to congratulate her for standing her ground. "Henry, darling, tell the security guards to throw them out," Veronica said, fixing her hair. "We have a gala to prepare for. I need to find a replacement dress." "The gala is canceled," Henry said. His voice was low, but it carried the weight of a thunderclap. Veronica froze. Her smile vanished. What do you mean canceled?" "Henry, the guests are arriving in 2 hours. The mayor is coming. The media is coming." "I do not care about the mayor, and I do not care about the media," Henry said, walking toward her. "And I certainly do not care about your $50,000 dress." "Henry, you're being ridiculous." Veronica snapped, losing her temper. "It's just a maid and her stupid kid. Why are you acting like this? I am your fiancée. I am the future mistress of this estate." "You will never be the mistress of this estate," Henry said. He reached out and pointed at her hand. "Take off the ring." The room became so quiet, you could hear the dripping of the juice onto the floor. Veronica gasped, stepping back. You're breaking up with me? Over spilled drink? Over a servant's child?" "Henry, look at him. He's nothing. They are nobody." "They are human beings," Henry said, his voice shaking with a controlled, righteous anger. "And that little boy has more dignity in his pinky finger than you have in your entire body. My mother told me to find a woman with a gentle heart. I thought you were that woman. But today, you showed me who you really are. You are a bully. You are a cruel, vain woman who strikes a child because of a piece of fabric." "Henry, please." Veronica started to panic. She realized her dream life was slipping through her fingers. She tried to reach for his hand. "I was just stressed. The wedding stress got to me. I didn't mean to hit him hard. It was an accident." "A slap is never an accident," Henry said coldly. "Take off the ring, Veronica. Right now. Or I will have my security team escort you out of this house in front of all the paparazzi waiting outside." Veronica looked at Henry's face. She saw no mercy. She saw no love. She only saw complete disgust. With trembling, angry hands, she slid the massive diamond ring off her finger. She threw it at his feet. You're crazy, she screamed, dropping her sweet act completely. You're choosing a peasant over me. You'll regret this, Henry. You'll die alone in this empty house. I may be alone, Henry said quietly, but I will be at peace. Goodbye, Veronica. Veronica turned on her heel, her ruined dress swishing behind her. She stomped down the hallway, her loud heels echoing until the front door slammed shut behind her. She was gone. The grand foyer was silent once again. Henry sighed, a heavy weight lifting off his shoulders. He turned back around and walked over to Anna, who was still sitting on the floor, holding her son. She was trembling, terrified that she had just caused the destruction of a billionaire's engagement. Sir, Anna whispered, her voice cracking. I am so sorry. This is all my fault. I will pack our things and leave immediately. Please don't call the police on us. Henry knelt back down beside her. He reached out and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Anna, look at me, Henry said softly. Anna lifted her tear-stained face. You have nothing to apologize for, Henry said, his eyes warm and sincere. You did nothing wrong. Your son did nothing wrong. He is a child. Accidents happen. What Veronica did was criminal. I am the one who should be apologizing to you. I brought a monster into this house, and she hurt your boy. I am deeply sorry. Anna wiped her eyes, stunned by his words. But your wedding, your gala, I ruined your future. Henry let out a soft, sad laugh. No, Anna, you didn't ruin my future. You saved it. If this didn't happen today, I would have married that woman. I would have spent the rest of my life tied to a person with a dark, cruel soul. You and Toby opened my eyes. You showed me the truth before it was too late. You didn't ruin my life. You rescued me. Henry stood up and extended his hand to Anna. She hesitated for a moment, then took it. He helped her up to her feet. He then looked down at little Toby. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, shiny silver coin. It was a lucky token his mother had given him many years ago. He pressed it into Toby's small hand. Here you go, buddy, Henry said, smiling warmly. This is for being the bravest little guy I know. How about we get some ice cream to make that cheek feel better, and some real ice packs from the kitchen? Toby looked at the shiny coin, his tears finally stopping. A tiny, shy smile formed on his lips. Ice cream, he whispered. Yes, Henry laughed. As much ice cream as you want. Henry did not just stop at ice cream. The very next day, he fired the agency that had recommended Veronica's social circles to him. He then called his legal team. He made sure that Anna was promoted to the position of house manager, giving her a massive raise, her own beautiful private apartment on the estate grounds, and full healthcare benefits for her and Toby. He also set up a college fund for little Toby, ensuring that the boy would never have to worry about his future education. As the months passed, the estate changed. The cold, empty mansion began to feel like a real home. The sound of little Toby's laughter could often be heard echoing through the grand hallways. He no longer had to hide in the break room. Henry bought him toys, books, and even built a beautiful playground in the massive backyard garden. Anna worked hard, managing the estate with unparalleled dedication and honesty. She took care of the house as if it were her own, and she took care of Henry's comfort with deep gratitude. One evening, a year after that fateful day, Henry was sitting on the back patio, watching Anna and Toby play tag on the lawn. The sun was setting, painting the sky in beautiful shades of orange and pink. Henry looked down at his hands, remembering his mother's final words. Find someone with a gentle heart. He looked up at Anna, who was laughing as she chased her son. Her smile was bright, pure, and full of genuine love. Henry realized that his mother's wish had finally come true. It hadn't come in the form of a wealthy socialite in a $50,000 dress. It had come in the form of a humble, loving mother who stood up for her child. Justice had been served, and out of the ruins of a broken engagement, a beautiful new family was beginning to bloom. Thank you so much for watching today's story. It reminds us all that true wealth is not found in the clothes we wear or the money in our banks, but in the kindness of our hearts and how we treat those who cannot defend themselves. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and family, And don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. We love hearing from you. Until next time, take care of yourselves, be kind to one another, and we will see you in the next video. Goodbye.